In this tutorial, I want to talk about fixing triangulation problems that can occur when you import CAD models. I really want to thank Federico of ABDR Architect Associates who gave us this model. It's a great model for an example. We open the model and we run it, and when we run it, we get multiple triangulation errors. So these errors are critical errors. We can't just ignore them. We have to fix them. So we're going to talk about that. So we're going to start with the first error, and our hope is that we fix the first one. We'll fix a lot of the ones down below it. And so the first thing we're going to do then is we see it's room 710. We're going to do a search to find room 710. So we see the large room that is not triangulating correctly. And we can verify that by turning on the ability to display the triangles, and that will confirm that this room is in fact not triangulating. So what we want to do is we want to find the floor that the problem is in, and then set that to the active floor so that we can begin to edit it. I do want you to notice there that the circle here is triangulated, and that is not correct. And this will come up again later in our discussion. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to turn off the triangulation display. That speeds up the model. So if you explore the model, you see that there's no obvious reason that we can easily see that caused the problem with triangulation. It's not uncommon for this to happen when you have imported geometry. There can be gaps or something that just doesn't work right. So the easiest way to fix it is to actually just redraw this room and redraw it 1 meter above the existing room. We start by just filtering to this room to show it. Let us find the height of the existing room. So the existing room is at 6.35, and we're going to draw a new room at 7.35. So let's switch to the top view and let's turn off the grid lines, and then we're going to zoom in so we can see what we're doing. And yes, so now we're going to draw, and again it's at 7.35. And we're just going to start to sketch here. And the goal is to capture the outline, but maybe skipping some of the details that are not necessary. And we can see that we have a couple little notches here. We have to make a decision. Are we going to include those or not? I decided to just go ahead and follow those little notches. But in actuality, probably I could skip doing that. So we're only going to do a part of the room at a time, and then we'll merge all to make the whole room. So now I'm just working backwards around the model. And there we are. So we've completed part of it. It took a little bit of time, but it didn't take that long. And you can see we can work around the model this way. Just for the fun of it, let's check the triangulation of that new part of the room that we drew and see if we like it. And yes, it looks pretty good. So now what we have to do is just finish up redrawing this room, and we'll do it in parts, and then we'll merge them all together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to kind of jump through that work and not show all the details at one time. So now I have two parts drawn. Let's go ahead and merge those. After more work, I have the three bottom legs finished. Now I want to draw and I want to preserve the inner circle. And the best way to do that is to just split that into two parts, not try to do it as one big circle. And so you can see that I'm just drawing now that bottom half, and then I'm going to close it, and then I have that part. And then I'm going to separately draw the upper part of the circle. Now I'm going to select and merge all of those little parts of the room that I have drawn, and we'll see how our progress is. So this is another detail where I have a hole that I need to model. And you could draw a small room corresponding to the hole and then delete it. Or what I'm doing is I'm just, again, splitting it into two parts, and I draw around it in two parts. And that works fine too. So that's a good way to go. So we continue, now drawing the top part here. On this left leg, I have the same issue with a hole, so I'm going to draw half of the hole and then draw a second part that has the other half of the hole, and then I'm going to merge those into one part. After finishing all the individual parts, we're going to merge everything together now. Well, that took me about 45 minutes to do. And So it's some effort, but it's effort very well spent because now I have a very nice model and we can check the triangulation here and you'll see that the triangulation of this model is very good. Now it looks like I've triangulated the hole, but actually that is just the display of the triangulation from the lower model down below us that we're drawing on top of. So we did not triangulate that triangulation at the hole is not part of our redrawing. I'm going to be making some big changes to the model. So the first thing I want to do is just save a copy of the current state of the model, just in case I want to go back and recover something from this model. Now you can look, you can see, so we have this new floor that we have drawn that is 1 meter above the original floor. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to delete that original floor and then we are going to move the floor that we drew down 1 meter to replace it. So we're just going to move it and we're going to move it 1 meter down in the Z direction. So after moving the floor, we see that there are some errors and we have some warnings in our model. So what we do is we scroll down and we find that there is an error here. Door 1144 is not connected to any elements. So we need to fix that. We go to the top view and then we're going to search for door 1144 and we will find it and then we'll look and see what the problem is. Well, we find the door, and then what we do is we zoom in and we start to look at the details. When we zoom in, we can see we have a little offset between the two adjacent rooms. So what I do is I draw a little rectangle and I delete that rectangle, and that aligns the two rooms. But I see I still have a little bit of a problem here. There's a little stray uh, edge sticking out. So what I'm going to do with that, in this case, I just can click on it and I see it just selects that part that I don't want. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that also. When I zoom in and look at the door, I see the door is also not aligned with the edge between the two pieces. I see that it's 134 centimeters long. So I delete the door and then we're going to just redraw the door, making sure it's going to be big enough. And I'm going to just click on it. And so now I've added a new door at the correct location between the edges. And we can see down below, there's another offset, but really I'm not worried about it. The door, the movement through the door will not be affected by that small offset. So we have fixed that problem now. We now look for other errors in the model and we find another door here. So this time, instead of doing a search, I'm just going to select the door and then I just keep looking in the model until I find it. This door is actually a little bit of a mystery. It's not connected to anything. So what I'm going to do is just delete it. I will communicate that I deleted that door to the maker of the model in case they want to use it as a source or something in the future. So now we search again to see if there's other errors that we have to fix, and we do find here a ramp that needs to be fixed. We zoom in, and then to help us better, we can show all floors. And once we show all floors, we can see the connections uh, with that ramp. The purpose of this ramp is not real clear. If we look at the adjacent rooms and the ramp, they are all at the same Z0 elevation. So what we are going to do is we're going to select both of the adjacent rooms, and then we're going to filter to those rooms. And now we can clearly see what's going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete that ramp, and then I'm going to extend the room on the left to meet the room on the right, and then I'm going to add a door in there. So that's the approach I'm going to take here. You can see I use the trick of drawing two rectangles because that allows me to align with both adjacent rooms. Now we add the door back in. And then we do exactly the same thing for the other ramp that's having a problem. So we see that fixed all the warnings in that floor that we were looking at. Now what we'll do is we'll run the model again and see what existing errors are still in the model. So, not surprisingly, we have some additional triangulation problems, but those are actually going to be at a different location. But we have to go ahead, proceed, and fix them just like we fixed the other ones we did. We search for room 231, which was the top problem, and then we find it, and then we notice that it is in a different floor. So that's good news. We are working up the model. And we will then set that floor to be the active floor, and we will continue and do the same kind of fixes that we had to do before. So just like before, I redraw the room with the problems. Then just like before, we delete the old room and then we move the new room down, and that fixes this model. So we run the model again and we look for any other problems it might have. And as expected, a higher level above, we do have again a triangulation problem. So we go ahead and fix those. So just like before, I redrew the room 1 meter above. I then delete the old room, and then I move the new room down 1 meter and reconnect it to the model. In this case, there was a warning that I received about a ramp. So we go in and we fix those ramps. And basically, I just deleted the ramp and then I redrew the ramp, and that solved the problem. So at this point, I think you understand the procedure. You basically run the model, see if there's any problems, you fix those problems, you run it again, and it doesn't take that long. Eventually, you've worked through the entire model and you fixed all your problems. What is really handy is how you can snap to, by having a room underneath and then drawing 1 meter on top. It really makes it easy to draw because it snaps to the geometry of the room below. So good luck with all your models, and hope everything goes well. Again, thank you to Federico of ABDR Architect Associates. They really helped us a lot in letting us use this model.